Happy New Year! 2020. We live in the future. I want to show you a bullet journal flip through. It took me this long. What is it today? The 4th? It took me this long to actually finally finish my Bujo switchover from last year's book, which was this guy, to this year's book. Look at that gorgeous Frankenlog logo. I love it. Not available in stores. Totally custom. I was going to actually do a video of like my whole system of everything that I do, and I realized that that is going to be a really long video, and maybe people want to see a flip through without actually seeing like me discuss my whole system. So that's going to be a separate video. I'm just going to do a flip through of what I have here so far. How many pages did I get to setting up my bullet journal? The answer is page 92 for the initial setup. And so here's my thing. I mentioned here in the group earlier that I was going to try to do something to incorporate GTD into here. I panicked when I got this new job. I got a new job as vice president at a company, and there was so much stuff to do. It was so overwhelming that I tried to default back to a digital solution. Just like last time, it didn't work because I put stuff in and then I never look at it again. The responsibility of having to look in my bullet journal every morning, or knowing that I will outright fail if I don't, makes me far more engaged with this. And so I'm back in the bullet journal. It took me a fair amount of time to follow the GTD method and get everything where it needs to be and into the book. So this is going to be, it's Frankenlog, obviously, it's GTD, and it's real GTD. I was not really doing GTD before. When I said that this was GTD, like in my old thing, I would try to do a GTD with a Frankenlog, and I would do like, hey Brian, use the index. That's why you keep it. So long, the pressure. Okay, page 37. So I would do this for my Frankenlog, right? And you see that? And then I would do like, here's work, here's school, here's personal and creations and errands. That's all well and good, but that's only kind of GTD, because GTD wants you to make specific context lists for locations that you're at to do certain things. Just like a shopping list. Shopping list, you have your errands, so you only look at it when you're there. So an office list, things I only do at the office. Things like school is not really, that's not a context. There's very few things I have to actually do at the university. What I need to do is, the things I have to do for school, I have to either do at home mostly, or possibly at work if I stay late to just work on school stuff. So that was the biggest change, and it took a long time to really force myself to do GTD the right way, and I believe that I have. So this is a mixture, a very concerted and wholehearted effort at mixing GTD and the bullet journal system together into something that's going to work for me. So that was a very long introduction. Let's just go. Let's not think too hard about this. All right, here we go. So let's see. Let's make this not widescreen anymore. Oh, maybe we should. That's still kind of, yeah. I'm gonna take this off the tripod too. Oh, don't get sick. Okay. So anywho, here we go. Frankenlog journal. You got my standard index. And these are my words for the year. Yes, I know my contact information is on there. Feel free to give me a call. Who cares? This is who I choose to be. This is my ABCD for 2020. Ambitious, benevolent, conscientious, deliberate. Deliberate and conscientious are really important. And this is my carryover from last year. My 2019 was a lot better because of the positivity word. Like anytime we'd say something awful, my wife and I would then like re-say it. And I would yell like, positivity, and we'd say it a different way. That's not why you're here, sorry. Squirrel. All right, so over here is a list of extensions for people at work because the phone list is hard to look at, but I also have a number next to that, and that is their page in my bullet journal. I will explain more what that means later, but this is the person and this is their page. So in my index, I've got my future log, and then I have these @ symbols, and you'll notice that those @ symbols over here mean GTD lists. This is already too long. You know what? I gotta talk less. This is a page flip through. I'm gonna do a different video. So here's my flip through. In my weekly template, abbreviation list, right? So these are agendas for individuals, and if I ever need to talk to them about something, I put that item on their agenda, which is the same page that's over there. It's just, in two places. Don't at me. At, get it? All right. So anyways, those are my lists there. Then for my January. So that's the end of my index. Now, there's something different because I'm doing GTD in here. In addition to my index, I also have, oops, sorry, not yet. Future log. So here's a future log. I am doing the Alistair method again. I was doing Future Frank, which was invented by the lovely Thalia. She came up with a sort of like a mishmash of almost like a Calendex Frankenlog mix, if that's even possible. And I liked it, and I did use it throughout my last book. However, I went back to the Alistair method because I found it hard to locate things. It was easy to look at the month and see what I had to do, but if I wanted to find pay $200 for this credit card, and I had to look for it over here, my handwriting, the way I do things, it just made it too busy. So back to the Alistair method. If you're not familiar with the Alistair method, this is a 3-month future log with the months up here, February, March, April. So there's a column for each month. And then over here, you write what it is you need to do, and then you put a dot under the month where it matters. So every Friday, I water my plant at work, rolled gold. So there we go. On the 5th, I change the fridge dispenser, the filters, but only every 3 months. So I have it marked here just for April, and then you come over here, I have it just for July, and then I have it over here just for October, and so forth. So you'll see this allows you to list something once, and it's great for repeating things that happen every month. So you see I've got, texting somebody at the same time, paying this amount at the same time. This is super big deal because I need to change my WordPress plan for the website because it's too expensive. I just paused to wipe the lens off so it would maybe focus better. Guess what? It's not. All right, so anyways. So that's my future log, blah, blah. More future log. All right, so this is where the bullet journal and GTD mix comes in. This is my master project list. So this is a list of every single project that I have to accomplish. And in GTD, a project is defined as anything that takes more than one action to complete and that you want to get done in roughly the next year. And so that means even if something just requires 2 or 3 tasks, you still mark it as a project because you need to be able to get it all out of your head. So I've decided to put boxes around work and circles around personal, which is a theme that you'll see throughout my journal. And then I've got all these projects. And one of the things I did to make it more manageable to do GTD in a bullet journal was to double space. This really helps my brain, for some reason, see what's on the page. Maybe I could do this. Yeah, that's better. So you'll see Develop Digital Toolkit is the first project that I have in here. And then you'll see that there's some page numbers here. Now, this is threading. So this is my number 5. This is my 5th bullet journal. So volume 4 was my last one, and I've got information about the digital toolkit in my 4th bullet journal. So on pages 33, 113, and 173 of my old bullet journal, I have information here. And then on page 47 of this bullet journal, okay? And if you look at page 47 of this bullet journal, right, you'll see that this is project number 1. So if I go to page 47, you'll see at the top of the page, this is my collection. All right, in bullet journal language, this is a collection. In GTD language, this is project support material. This is where I put all my notes and tasks for that particular project. And you'll see that I've referenced that this is project number 1, Develop Digital Toolkit. So I know which project it's related to, and this references to the project number, and I've got all the information and things that I need to do for that project. For this, and I know I'm going to get flack, look, there's color. All right, let's just get it out of the way, Thalia. There's things that are colored in my bullet journal, and look, I used washi tape, kill me. I used washi tape for my master project list, and you'll see that I actually left myself a lot of space for my master project list. So I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. So yeah, 3 full spreads to leave room for the master project list. And you'll see that most of them are professional. Some of them are personal. You'll see I've already removed some as I was getting ready or tossed them out. So yeah, and the reason I use washi tape here instead of these tabs is because this isn't going to move. It is super unlikely that I will ever have to use additional place or that this is going to move. This is going to be an ongoing thing, so this is fine to make it permanent. These lists that I'll get to in a second, they could potentially end up in a different place in the book, and so it's easier to use those as tabs. So you can see I have 40 active projects. Actually, that's not true because this one I decided I got rid of, and that one's done. So I mark them off when they're done. Yeah, my arms are getting tired. So right now I have 40 active projects and plenty of room to do more. So the next thing in my bullet journal is my waiting for list. Should I zoom out so you can see that? Is that better? So here's the waiting for list, and I did give myself 2 full spreads for that, so hopefully I won't have to move it. I usually don't use more than 2 spreads when I use a book, which is nice once you've been bullet journaling for long enough that you get an idea of how long it takes you. So at this point, I can safely say I get about 3 months out of a bullet journal, and that it usually takes me 2 spreads for my waiting for list, and that my master list needed a lot more room than I've ever given it before. A waiting for list is where you write everything that you are waiting for from anybody. If it's a package that's coming in the mail, if it's something that you asked somebody to do, you write down who you asked, what you asked them to do, and when you asked them, or when you ordered it, or whatever. And then, like, if you leave somebody a voicemail, you could say, left them a voicemail about this on this day, and you put the day. And if it ever gets resolved, then you put the date that it was done. You'll also notice that some of these have little numbers with boxes. All right, let's do that. There we go. Little numbers with boxes after them. Those are project numbers. So this is my way of having all these things reference the specific project they're related to, which is critical for stuff at work. I need to know what the hell I'm talking about when I write stuff on this list. So that's what those boxes are next to those items on here. You'll see some of them don't have boxes, which is fine because not everything is related to a project. Some things are just single tasks. So that's waiting for. That's very much a GTD thing. Anything that has an @ symbol at the beginning is a GTD reference. From that book. All right, I've got my realizations, which I like to rewrite every time I get a new bullet journal, just stuff about me that I need to remember, which I read probably about once a month, but I think it's important to just keep drilling it in. This is my weekly template, so this is what I do to plan my week on Sundays when I'm being a good boy. And I don't use a weekly spread, because most of what I need to see on a weekly level is done in Google Calendar. I absolutely cannot. I have tried. Go see Franken blog. You'll see what happened when I tried to not use Google Calendar, and now I have to use Outlook also. So, anyways, this is my little thing that I follow. It's based off of Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and Principles of Personal Management. It's really good. Then I've got my abbreviation list. This new job has so many damn abbreviations when I was new that I was like, I just need to start writing these down. So now I'm keeping a running list of all the different abbreviations related to my job. These are people have turned in their time cards to me. This is info about the vehicles at work. All right, so now we're getting into the GTD agendas. An agenda is a list of things I want to talk to a person about. So this is my boss, and this is the stuff I want to talk to him about. This is Terry. So some of these are going to have nothing on it yet. They're just placeholders, but these are places that I can put stuff to talk to those people. So when I see those people, I go, hold on. And then I open my book to their page, and then I can ask them the questions. And these might have project numbers on them as well, like relating them to a project so that I can remember what it's in relation to. So a lot of blank stuff here. One thing I will say is that although it does take me 3 months to finish a journal, it doesn't usually take me. Let's go see what the dog is eating. Oh, good. You're eating the couch cushion. You can't eat that. Don't eat that. Okay. Anyways, what was I saying? I don't even remember. I was saying something. Oh, that's right. Even though it takes me about 3 months to finish a bullet journal, what I've discovered is that there's usually about a dozen pages blank left at the end, and that's even with me messing around in the back and trying things out. So I'm trying to give myself more space this time, like leaving more room for projects, leaving more room for lists that I know I'm going to use so that I don't have to squish them in later. Probably should have gone to widescreen for that. Not sure if my face was on the screen. All right, so here's another bullet journal list. Someday, maybe. These are things I might do someday, maybe. So these are things that I would like to consider doing at some point, and I want to think about them at least once a month, maybe once a week. but they're just not important enough right now to be done, so I put them on the someday maybe list. And this can even be a project. So this used to be a project in my old bullet journal, convert central intake binders to an Outlook group. And it is a project, and there is a page for it, but since it's not on the master list, it doesn't get a number, and it doesn't get put on that list. If I ever want to put it there, I would just throw it on the list, give it a number, and move forward. All right, here we go, the big one. This one's super important for me at work. This is my office, my at office. So in GTD, your to-do lists are all based on context. And the context is where you would be at the time that you would want to do those things. So the only things on this list are things I can do when I'm at the office. Anything that's not on this list, I don't have to worry about when I'm at work. I don't have to think about it. It's out of my brain. I don't have to, if I think of something, I will just throw it in my dirty daily to remind me later. This is what I'm working out of. Now, because I love dirty dailies, I love the daily log, and I still use that, and I'll show you how I'm going to be using that. But that is in conjunction with this, because I need to have one central place for all the things that I'm required to do while I'm at work. So that's what this is. This is the one central place, and I've got a little tab here so I can get to it very quickly when I'm at the office, and you'll see that the stuff on this list has a number right here. So, watch the gambling assessment webinar. This is the project for that, the project number, but you'll also see this P here. If you remember at the front, I made a little index, and P means Project Support Digital, which means for me, if it just says watch the webinar, what webinar? Where is it? Well, it's in my project support materials digital. So I would go on my work, my network, and under the folder that I've marked for this, I would have a folder with the same name as this project. And just for the sake of this little page through, that would be the project Add Gambling Screening to Assessment. So there is an actual folder on my computer with that name that I would go to and find the link to get to this. And I've also reduced the amount of places I keep things. I try to just have one project support and reference material for work and one for home, so that it's not too hard to find things. This is action support material digital, so same thing, it'll be on the computer, but sometimes things are analog. Let me see if I can find an example of an analog. I know there's one somewhere. Can't find it anyway. So analog would be this A with a circle, or like project support materials, analog would be a P with a circle around it. That means I have a desk drawer at work or a file cabinet drawer that's project support materials for things that I can't keep digital. So there you go. This is my office list, and you'll see I'm double spacing because that makes it far more easier for me to read. That was the problem I had with the last one. Here, I'm not going to make you do this one. So this is the problem I had with the old one. I couldn't read it. It was driving me nuts. I also made the mistake of putting project numbers first, and it just made it harder to find things. It was just too much of a mishmash, and I wasn't able to actually reference it. So this has been much better for me. A lot cleaner, a lot easier to read, to double space it. And because I was double spacing, I left myself a ton of space. I think 4 full spreads, because this is where most of my projects and tasks and actions and all that stuff is going to happen, is at work. I also left myself a fair amount of space for at home. Not as much, but a fair amount. So that's things that I would just do at home, and you'll see that most of these have the circles around them because that's a personal project. And then I've got errands, so when I'm out of the house and I'm going around, this is stuff I would want to do while I'm out and around. And then this is stuff I can do anywhere. And at anywhere is, if I'm waiting in line somewhere, or I'm just killing time and I could do this on my phone, these are things I can do no matter where I am. That's what that is. Frankenlog! Da-da-da! Here we go. Frankenlog 2020, version 5.1. I promise not to get into extreme detail about Frankenlog because you already know what it is. If not, you could please go to the website, frankenlog.com. And the big difference here is that I am not doing any sort of context or categorizing here. I am just putting in tasks, and I'm indicating with a square or a box whether they are work or personal, so that I can use the alphabet twice. So I'll use the alphabet once for work-related stuff. Get in there. There we go. So I'll use the alphabet with circles around it, A through Z for personal, and then I'll use the alphabet with squares around it. What are you eating? Okay, so that is the zipper off of the, pretty sure that's the zipper off of the pillow I just took from her. All right, worst dog ever. Anyways, so yeah, alphabet twice, circles and squares. So that gives me the room, and then I can use the same thing up here. I use circles and squares around them when I put them in the journal, so I can see, there we go, I gotta fix the camera because of the dog, ta-da! So I can see what date I have to do them, and everything else about Frankenlog is the same. It's just anything that's a dated task, and you'll see I put projects here too. Oh, here you go. Call regarding the HSP blah blah issue. It's in my analog action support materials at work. That's what that means. This probably sounds like a lot, but I do need a lot because I'm super busy at work. And so I have my things for what I'm doing in Frankenlog here. Yeah, and then dated tasks over here. The dog's getting bored, so she's just looking for things to do that are wrong. All right, so after that, just a collection of things I want to sell. This is that one project I told you that's on the someday maybe list. All right, and then we get into the projects for these are various project pages. This one I felt like I wanted to give myself more room because it might take up more space, so I gave myself some extra space for this particular project. This is just a list of MCOs from work. That's managed care from Medicaid, you don't care. Our NPI numbers. And then, okay, another larger, these are spreads that I thought for projects they would need a little more room. This is just some meeting notes that I put into the index, no big deal. So like I'll take the notes for that day, and then I would go to my index and I would just add them into the index and say, okay, we had that meeting that day. PI meeting, there it is, PI meeting reviewing November. There's the date and the page number that it was on. So just so I keep track of it. As you can see, I'm a very heavy index user. Hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. All right. Okay, so another project, a couple of projects. Okay, bam. All right, so at some point the other day, I finished working on this and it was time to start my dailies. So here's my dailies. They're the same as you guys remember them from before. I put the date, the day, and then I put a little bracket next to the day like that, so I can put little ticks for every time I freak the hell out or have a little anxiety spasm, which hasn't been as much lately. And now I just kind of put them there out of habit. I don't often put anything in there. And then these are the actions for today. And you'll see like put spring green in mail. All right, so that's a bill that I want to send out in the mail. And this lovely little symbol means that what I need is in the back pocket. So I can go back to this awesome pocket I just made in the last video. And you'll see that in this pocket I have this piece of mail that needs to go into the mailbox, which will go later. I also really wanted the pocket because I love to have my Moxie Dory Hunky Dunky Okie Choky ruler for use. This thing is fantastic. I've been using it now for like a year. No going back. It's just super handy. And it actually fits pretty well in that little pocket I made. So anyways, back to the dailies. At the end of a day, and this is only theoretical now because I've barely started using this system. At the end of the day, if there's something that needs to get migrated into one of those GTD lists, like at office or at home, I will just move it over there. There's going to be some things that are very basic and simple that I can just do right away, like 2-minute rule, or that it just isn't necessary to move them to get them done. And so they'll just live in the dailies. But the dailies, the daily log in bullet journal is like the equivalent of the inbox in GTD. So I just thought I should inject this in here. Okay, carry on. So here's my dailies, and that's fine. When I get to the end of this, you'll note I can't just turn the page and keep going because look, more projects. These projects weren't going to take up much room, so I put them all in 2 pages. And then another project, my God. Oh, I'm really excited about this one. I can't wait to go. Okay, and then that's it. So that's it. So that means this will be my next page for Dirty Dailies if I don't do any more projects anytime, in the next day or two. That's page 93, which means I will probably, when I get to the bottom of this page, I will go down here and I will put a slash mark. And I will put, I don't want to put it yet in case I'm wrong, I would put 93 right here. And then that means I have threaded this over to page 93, and at the, oops, did I say 90? Yeah, 93. And then on page 93, I would put the page where I came from on that page. So that's a way to have a collection spread over several pages. Then in the back, like I already mentioned, the little I tend to mess around in the back of the book. Like this is where I did the demo of how to make the pocket, and there's a little pen test page. This book only has 2 ribbons, so this is going to be the ribbon that goes to my daily log, wherever that may be. This is going to be the Franken log, and then usually in a regular Leuchtturm I would have the 3rd one be waiting for. But in this case, I'm going to use this for waiting for and this for office. I know that if I go to office, I just have to flip a couple pages to get to home and the other ones, so I probably won't put a tab in for home. I'll probably just use office to get there. But that's it. Sadly, that was perhaps the shortest I could do to make a flip through. I talk a lot. So if you hung in there for this whole time, God bless you. I hope to God you got something out of it. I am going to do a terrifyingly, probably longer video that'll go up on YouTube, and I'll put it up here too. Which is going to be like explaining my whole system. So how I use, this with Google Calendar and Evernote, and my like physical connections to this, like where things go, if I have papers I have to keep, and what that looks like. So I will do that. I don't know if that'll get done today, or maybe it doesn't matter. Anyways, hope this was useful. Please let me know in the comments if you thought that this was helpful at all, if you have any questions, or you can go to the website for more information on how to use the monthly spread I showed you. And thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye. Okay.